I got the Varjo Aero back in March, and I've been flying a ton in this thing. I absolutely love this headset. I've got an unboxing video, I've got a full review, so there's plenty of information about what I think about the Varjo Aero. Great headset. But I got to wondering, I have not flown in anything other than the Varjo in over 6 months. And I was wondering, what would it be like to crawl back in the cockpit in the HP Reverb G2? So I thought, 6 months later, let's see what it's like. So here we go. Okay, so here we are. My old friend, the HP G2, had a lot of flight hours in this before I got the Aero, but yeah, first time putting it on, so have to remember, had to get out the controllers again, so that's all part of the process to get this thing to start. So usually I can get away with one controller, so let's go ahead and put this on and see what we got. So alright, hi there. Looks side to side. Yep, I remember this. It's the calibration, getting it to start up. There it goes. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so power up the little controller and see what we got here. Yep, there's the controller. And let's see what the desktop looks like. Yep, alright, so a whole bunch of mirrored stuff. So let's get in the flight sim and see how that looks. It's very comfortable. So the face gasket is very soft, and I think that the fabric versus the leather or the faux leather in the Aero, I prefer the fabric. The fabric is much softer, feels much more pleasant on my face. Let's go ahead and get in a F14. Let's see what we got here. All right. So let's jump in the cockpit and see what we got. Wow. Okay. Now I am contending with a little fog in the lenses, so hopefully that will go away soon. There we go. Okay, see if the tracking settles down. Tracking's acting a little weird right now. Alright, so it doesn't look too bad. It is definitely harder to read stuff. So, and the tracking is having a little bit of issues as it calibrates there. Now it's good. That may also be the lighting. I've got my LED panel light lighting up the scene here, and I know that sometimes I can throw off the inside-out tracking. One of the things that I have really enjoyed, I've been able to game without having to have lights on for the inside-out tracking. And now, obviously, using the G2, you have to have enough light that it can see around. So, all right. So the fogging is real. I forgot about that. So the Aero actually has a little fan in it that keeps the air moving kind of inside the headset. The Reverb G2 does not. So I am having a little bit of fogging issues in the headset. So I've kind of gotten used to not having to worry about that. It looks like I'm looking at a monitor. So there are times in the Aero where it feels like you're looking through a glass window or something at everything. This feels like I'm looking at a monitor still. It just has something, it's either the non-vivid colors or something about it that is just different. But it's not a bad experience. It's still, I can read the big gauges pretty well. Let's get over here hooked up to a catapult and see what we can do. You know, here comes the fog again. One of the biggest things that I'm remembering and that I'm really noticing is the earpieces and not having to have that headset. So the audio solution on this thing is much better. The field of view is definitely noticeably narrower for me. Again, your experience in VR will be different depending on your head shape, but for me, it's more like you're looking through a straw in this thing. I remember that, and the IPD is out all the way. So I do remember that part of it. All right, there we go. So we're going to stop. And Go put the wings out. So the wings to fold out. Getting set. All right, but yeah. Again, sans the fog, it's a lot easier to see. I'm still getting a little fog coming up. All right, got to roll forward, get on the shuttle. All right, should be locking in here. Come on. Okay, got that. And then we got to do a salute. So here goes the shuttle. He's got us locked in. Flaps are down. And he's going to signal to do the burner. So you can go ahead and do the ground crew, and we'll salute. Little salute coming, and let's get some throttle going here. And let's get this thing in the air and see what happens. Little tracking glitch there. There we go. And we're off. Gear up, flaps up. So get a little wind flowing on this. Everything's a little dimmer too. Like the sea looks a lot more dark blue, and can't. Yeah, there's just a richness that's missing. There's just a general richness that's kind of missing. Again, it looks good. It looks better than I was thinking it was going to look, to be honest. And to be honest, yeah, I can see. Again, it's probably 85% of the experience. So, for a quarter of the price, this is still a good option for any of your high-detailed flight sim, racing sims. But yeah, it's just not quite there, and I do miss that wider field of view. The vertical field of view is nice. I have a little more vertical, so I can see up a little easier. Again, this is more like looking through a tunnel versus the Varjo is more, it's a squared off top to it. So, but yeah, man, I like the earpieces. I like the sound from that. So, we'll see. Yeah, it's just a little bit of a haze. So, that's kind of what I'm seeing. I definitely could play this. I could definitely fly in it. I could come back to it. I just will find myself leaning forward a lot more to read stuff than I'd have to in the Varjo. The Varjo, I can kind of sit back and read what I need to. This one, for detailed stuff, I got to kind of lean forward a little bit more. But it's totally playable. It's definitely something you could do. I find I have to move my head a lot more too. I'm moving my head around versus in the Aero, I just glance at some things. This one, I've got to kind of stay in that sweet spot, if you will. So, but it's totally playable. The blacks look good. The colors all look good. They're missing that little bit of vividness to them, and yeah, and definitely noticing a little bit of the tracking. Not bad, but I feel like I'm getting a lot more tracking glitches here and there than I did with the lighthouse tracking. I'm a fan of the lighthouse tracking. Now, is it worth the expense if you don't have the lighthouse tracking? Probably not. It's not that much different, but if you have an option, the lighthouse tracking is by far the best tracking you can get. So, all right, let's see if I can just put this thing on the deck here. See if I can actually land on the carrier. We'll give her a shot one way or the other. Yeah, it's not bad though. It's really not a bad. Oh, that's, whoa, hey, hello. Pulled that a little aggressively. There's the carrier. Let's see what we can do here. So, overall, it's kind of been a nice little experience. This would make a great fallback headset. It's not terrible, but I do think I will continue to use my Aero for all my flight sim needs. So there you go. Now obviously the Varjo Aero costs a lot more than the HP Reverb G2. And surprisingly, this thing still holds up pretty good. But at the end of the day, I'm still thrilled that I bought the Varjo Aero, and I will continue to fly in this thing in the near future. So that'll do it for this episode of Get Your Game On. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't yet, make sure you like and subscribe, share with your friends. And until next time, remember to get your game on.